Now, I've picked a very, very simple song. This happens to be one of my favorite songs in the world. And I'm going to jot some notes here to help. Now, we've got very, very typical traditional harmony. If you look at it the way it is now, we got in the key of F 1 4 1 5 1 4 1 5 1 4 1 4 1 5 1 4 1 5 1 4 1 4 1 5 1. So you have a song that consists entirely of 1, 4, and 5 chords. And it's a gorgeous song. You can play it using 1, 4, and 5 chords and it'll sound good. It's a great song. However, we can make it much, much, much better. And I want to take you through the process to do that. Now, we're going to do some chord substitutions here, and we're not going to worry so much about anything we've talked about in terms of common tones. We're not going to worry about common tones. We're not going to worry about the functional equivalents. We're going to step outside of that and do some other things from the perspective of the universal formula, finding chords that work with the melody note and finding chords that work with the chords around them. Okay? So let's start the song. First of all, we won't mess with the first chord. We rarely do. Okay? Now, we'll leave that on a 1 chord, but when we move to this second chord, what I would do here is I would use a G minor 7. That's just something that I traditionally would do. I'm not really sure, but I like the fact that it's stepping. I'm stepping from F up a step to G minor. Remember I said chords like to move in steps. So this is how it would sound. Okay, so I like that sound. It's a very open G minor 7 there. You could play it in other ways too. You could play that. Still G minor 7. I'm just going to write it in here. Okay. Now, some of you are thinking, well, isn't G minor 7 the 2 chord? Aren't you substituting a 2 for a 4? Yes, we are. That's, it works on a couple of different levels. It works because we're moving in steps from F to G, but it also works because, like we said earlier, a 2 chord substitutes for a 4 anyway, based on the principle of common tones. So B flat is your 4 chord. We just substituted a 2. Now, that's all going to break down here, though, because I'm going to play A7 here. Okay, A7, a dominant chord on here at the start of bar 3. Why did I pick A7? Well, it's just going to sound good. At least it's going to sound good to me. It's not a substitution that we have talked about at all. We never said that the 1 chord, you could substitute a major 6-7 chord for a 1 chord, or a major 3-7 chord for a 1 chord. Never said that, but it works because, again, we're stepping. Do you see that? We're stepping from G to A. So we've created a 1, 2, 3 progression here. Here's how it sounds. Okay, I like that sound. It's a really, really cool sound. I added the flat 9 to it. You don't have to. There's natural 9. There's no 9 at all. But I like that sound right here. Okay. Now, that has to move somewhere, okay? Now, we have an F chord on the whole bar, but let's not worry too much about it. Let's talk about where the A7 likes to resolve. Where does A7 resolve? Down a half step or down a fifth. What we're going to do is we're going to put a D minor here, okay? We're going to put it right here on beat 3 because A7 resolves down to D. We could put it right here, I suppose. As a matter of fact, we'll try both places. Okay, there's D minor on beat 3. It sounds really good. Again, it works because you got an F and a D minor chord. It works fine in the D minor chord. A7 resolves naturally to D minor. Okay, now let's do it where, let's change it to where the D minor is here. Okay, substituting D minor for C7, just to see how it sounds. Okay, not going to work, is it? There's some reasons why. First of all, hanging out on the A7 for that long just doesn't work. And then there's some other reasons too that are sort of complex to get into. But what we have here works. We're substituting D minor. Technically, this is a whole bar of an F chord, so we're substituting D minor for F, which some of you recognize is a 6-for-1 substitution. We talked about that early on. It's a common tone substitution. So now we got F, G7, excuse me, G minor 7, A7, D minor 7. What are we going to do here? Now, could we resolve D minor to C7? D minor is your 6th chord in the key of F. We said that minor 7th chords like to resolve either down a 5th or in diatonic steps. Now, D minor 7 to C7 is a diatonic step. D, that's the 6th chord moving to the 5th chord. So you can do that without incident. Let's do it. Let's hear how it sounds. You can do that. However, I want to do something better. Here's what I want to do. I want to change, for that C7, I want to put G7 again. Okay, now why did I do that? Well, D minor 7 moves down a 5th to G minor 7. So you're moving around the circle fifths, moving by fifths. And what it's going to allow me to do is put a C7 here. Okay? So I'm going to play G7 here and then G minor 7 and then switch to C7. So instead of playing a whole bar of C7, I'm going to substitute G minor 7 for the first 2 beats of that bar. So now we have a progression that's F, G minor 7, A7, D minor 7, G minor 7, C7, and F. Make sure you understand where I came up with that. It's all functional. Okay? We went from F, G minor 7, that's a step, which is the way chords like to move. G minor 7 to A7 is another step. A7 to D7 is down a 5th, D minor 7. D to G down a 5th, G to C is a 5th. And then C to F is a 5th. Here's how it sounds. Sounds really, really good, really good. Much better than the original harmony. So we've substituted a 1-4-1-5-1 progression, which is honestly very, very boring, to 1-2, major 3-7, 2, major 3-7, 6, 2, 5, 1. So we substituted a string of chords for one chord. We're going to cover this in a lot more detail.